Hey, we're setting up. You already know, podcast. We out here. We're still at Hayes Radio. Let's go. Yeah, dude. So I'm gonna have you sit at that mic. I'm gonna be at this mic. This is Kentron. He plays music the whole time during the show. That's Matt. He's our
What's up, man?
Content dude. So yeah. Actually, let's walk around the other way. There's a lot of lights over there.
Okay.
I mean, you're gonna be right here. This is you, adjust it. This is Mike. Headphones, your volume's right here to adjust how loud it is.
Bro, it's too official for me.
Stop it, dude. Please, what?
Too official for me.
Yeah. Y'all know it is the highest host, Adam Mill. You know, it's hard for me to just start the show sometimes when Ken's out here just vibing and tickling them ebonies and ivories. I just like, yo, Kentron, just pay. We don't need to listen to my annoying ass voice, dude. Just keep playing, dog. Just grooving. I appreciate all y'all hanging out with us right here for another edition of the podcast. Yes, dude, wherever you're at, I appreciate y'all. You could be anywhere in the world and you are tuned in with us right now. If you're watching this or you listen to this, we appreciate you. We are everywhere now, dude. We're everywhere, like Apple Music and Spotify and Amazon and podcasts wherever, HQ, whatever, dude. We're here. Shout out to the Ilian, shout out to Universal Studios, shout out to Kentron in the building. And I want to give a huge shout out because this is kind of like it's kind of should have happened a while ago, and I'm surprised it hasn't. I've been on his show a couple years ago. He's sitting next to me right now. I'm kind of honored, dude. He just released a book. He's a producer, a musician, executive. He's out here running content on major media outlets. I'm talking about the one. Is he high right now? Yeah, I give him a joint. The stoned Noah Rubin, baby. How you doing? Not the tennis player either.
Not to be confused.
Yeah.
This guy's all up in my SEO, you know?
It's fucked up, dude.
It's kind of fucked up. I mean, it turns out, I thought Noah Rubin was like not a common name, but it turns out like there's Noah Rubins everywhere.
He's like a world champ, dude.
Junior Wimbledon champion.
Yeah.
That's a lot to compete with.
I was like, okay, yeah, so he's gonna, and then there's like Noah Rubin doctors, and there's Noah Rubin, like,
there's like a dermatologist here and there, you know what I mean?
But then you do like Noah Rubin weed, and then like you see all these accolades, and I started like, you know, I was chilling a little bit, I didn't do too much, we're just going off like memory right now, no notes, dude. You worked with like Wu-Tang.
True.
And you work with like Bubba Sparks, dude.
True.
And you work with so many artists on the East Coast and the South.
A lot of East Coast,
and
a lot of South, yeah.
Then you were a part, I'm gonna get into all of this because this is a whole lot. And you were also worked on the Mary Jane platform, which was Snoop Dogg's media, cannabis media, which, you know, I was on a couple times.
Yes.
And you now are an author, and you released a book on how we roll.
I have a book coming soon.
Oh, well, I see it in front of me.
You see it in front of me because you are a fucking VIP.
What?
Can I curse on this show?
You can say whatever the fuck you want.
I like the sound of that. Well, anyway, you're a VIP, so you get to see it in person. This is my first copy. It's like airmailed from the printer.
Oof, exciting.
In India. And the rest of them are like in a shipping container somewhere. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
October 4th is my release date though, but you can pre-order it right now online.
Let's go.
For all you sexy pre-orders out there.
I know what it's like holding a product that you've been working on, even if it's just like the packaging, or if it's just like, you know, even like the first sample, you're like, oh my God, this is real life, this is happening, and here you go with the complete.
Oh my.
How's that feeling right now?
I mean, to what you're speaking to, it's a moment, you know what I mean? Like it's an idea that's been in your head percolating for however long, connections, like it's a life, it's like literally 2 years in the making, but also a lifetime in the making, as I kind of alluded to earlier, because it's not just that I sat down and decided I'm going to write it, but it's all these amazing people who I reached out to say, hey, come, help me out, give me, let me know how people get down where you're from in Egypt, in the UK, in Mexico, wherever. Like, I wanted everyone to know that this movement is coast to coast, it's worldwide, and there's a lot to learn about its history and the importance to what we're doing today comes from somewhere.
The culture,
man.
And everywhere is different, and so it's basically showcasing how people roll in different parts.
I mean, that's part of it. Like it's about learning new ways to roll. If you've mastered rolling, there's new ways to roll to keep you interested in it. If you are inspired by heavy rolling personalities, people in the world of weed like yourself, but also like a Tommy Chong or a Wiz Khalifa, they have their own stories to tell about what rolling.
They're famous.
The famous people.
I'm just a regular guy who smokes weed.
I don't know. Adam Mill's famous to me. Adam Mill's famous to me. That's what matters.
Stop, please.
But yeah, no. So there's lots of elements of it. It's about learning how to roll. It's about learning the history of rolling. It's about understanding rolling from around the world. It's about having fun. There's a lot of just like fun, dumb shit in there, just for all of us. You can open it up at any page and like just have a moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just a good little coffee table. Put it up, open it up.
Easy. And it's it's like it's hardcover. It's like a sexy little book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes you look smart. Having books in your house.
The cool thing about having a small book is it's always on the top of the pile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it won't end up on the bottom of the pile.
Listen.
It always ends up on the top of the pile.
Did you think of that, or is that just how
honestly,
it happened?
I didn't think of it. And then my publisher kind of snuck up on me and was like, "Oh yeah, that's the size." And I was like, "Oh, that's smaller than I thought." But then I talked to my boy Phil Leeds. Shout out to Phil Leeds. He put out an amazing book with Rizzoli a few years back that were all portrait photographs. And his book was a small format. And so I talked to him a few weeks back because he's also in the weed game. And he was like, "Oh yeah, the dope thing about doing a small book is actually you're always on top of the pile." And I was like, "I literally never thought about that."
I never
thought of it. And I was like, he's like, "Yeah, I went to this like ill book collector's house and he had like floor to ceiling books and like they're like the illest, most collectible art books ever." He's like, "My book's on top because it's small."
People will just grab that one,
Totally.
and it also fits in a bag, a little
fits
side
in a bag.
Yeah.
I mean, you almost fit that in a pocket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, you can open up a page. You can just find a vibe and we can talk about it if you want to. Yeah,
available soon. What movies where the adults smoke a joint or two? Damn, so you got like references of culture,
pop culture shit,
referencing weed all the way back to like the late 1900s, dude. What? So it's just like, so you can get like trivia from here. You can learn things. This one
is great. What's your astrological sign?
Yeah, I'm a Pisces. I pulled up right to it. Is that a sign?
Okay, so go back 2 pages. You'll see the intro to that segment.
Okay, 1, 2.
Because it's all about, what is it about?
What to roll according to the stars, dude.
Astrology.
Astrology. What?
Yeah,
I love the wordplay. You know what I'm saying?
Insights, bro. So we're talking to the stars. We're talking to the earth. We're talking to the celebs. We're talking to friends and homies around the world. We're just trying to bring the world of rolling to life in every way, shape, and form.
That's amazing, dude. So what got you to wanting to make a book about?
I mean, part of it, honestly, Adam, and because you were on my show, but it was like, I did over 100 episodes of that show, and I would have people from all different places doing music, doing comedy. You meet people from everywhere and you smoke with them and you realize, hey, the words that you're using and like your style of rolling up is something that I may not be totally familiar with. So I started kind of getting this, like Rico Nasty came on the show. She's from the DMV, Detroit, Maryland, Virginia.
She's the rapper.
Yeah, sheets and funnels. They roll sheets and funnels, and I was like, "What's sheets and funnels?" It's like a rolling paper.
Like a cone?
No, it's a way that they roll. They call it sheets and funnels, and it's basically a spliff, but they're using Fronto leaf in the spliff.
Okay, so instead of using like cigarette tobacco.
Instead of shredded, it's like shredded Fronto.
Real leaf,
they're using Fronto leaf, but in the joint. So it's like you got your square rolling paper, you got your square piece of Fronto leaf in there, and then you put your weed in there. So it's like an inside out blunt with a
So it's like a mix. So it's not like they're putting it in the.
No, it's 2 pieces of paper. So you got your rolling paper, and then you got like a
Fronto connected in it, yes.
Flat in there, and then you got your weed, and then you roll it. That's the sheets and the funnels. And of
sounds
course,
delicious.
There's 100 variations on it too. You know what I mean? Some people it's more like more like a spliff with Fronto leaf, or it can be all. Anyway, so something like Rico rolling through and putting me on that little nuance, and then multiply that times the number of people I was meeting when I was working with Snoop and hosting that show. It's just that you realize how many different flavors there are, and like these things are who's written about sheets and funnels? Is that in a book?
Yeah,
can I even Google that? Like,
yeah.
you know what I mean? This information is not everywhere outside of my stoned ass that's like smoked weed with whoever, and maybe one entry on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah.
That's like it. That's it.
Sheets
So
and
I figured,
funnels.
and that kind of shit like gets me fascinated. It's just like I thought it would be cool to take all those little nuances that I picked up from, you know, whatever, artists, musicians, just cool people I know from different places around the country and around the world, put them all in one place so we can kind of understand better how that manifests in places that may not be where we're coming from, just to connect us all on a higher level, you know?
Yes, don't Google it, read about it in a book.
Yeah, how about that?
What?
It's much better.
When we do How We Roll 2.0, we're going to put blunt rosin in there so people know about blunt rosin.
Totally. Well, I mean, it's blunt rosin. I'm open to that. I do, but I think it's important that you say that because even just blunts, like you can find how to roll a joint, but like the idea that you're like, I don't think anyone's written in a boy about ways to roll a blunt.
I mean, there's like, but there's different leaves, there's different techniques, there's different variations. Our boy, you know, my boy Roll BMC like does it, but I don't know if he put it in a book yet. But there's like different ways to roll, like cigar books.
I cover that.
Yes.
Because the different ways are based on the different things we roll with. So it's like you have like a white owl or a Philly.
Yeah, or a Vega, or a fucking Swisher.
Or a Dutch, or a backwood, or a Fronto, right?
Or a Brothers Broadleaf, baby.
Yeah, whatever you got to get down with is what you got to get down with. But the point is, it says something about our place. It says something about our crew. This guy's plugging product. You know what I mean?
No, it's my boys.
No,
the best leads.
And it's all about looking out for our
That's awesome,
boys.
Dude. So how did you get into cannabis? How was little Noah Rubin? How were you? Were you East Coast? East Coast?
I grew up outside of Boston, and I moved to New York as a teenager.
How was that? Did you like leave a lot of friends? This is pre.
No, it was. I had started dating a girl that lived in Manhattan that I had met at summer camp, like a nice Jewish summer camp in Maine.
Okay.
I met a girl who was my first girlfriend in high school, and her mom lived on the Upper West Side. So my dad would give me like $20 to get on the bus.
Upper West Side money?
Upper West Side is like kind of like nice upper middle class.
Okay.
It has good jobs, but not like rich Wall Street types. More just like, you know, works at Columbia University.
So your dad's like, yeah, let's go.
Well, he's like giving me $20. I get on the bus. I go visit my little girlfriend in Manhattan. I have like a little New York City experience as a young teenager. You know, going to see music, getting stoned, like.
Wait, is she the reason you smoked weed your first time? You met her in Jewish.
The first time I smoked weed, well, the first time I actually scored a big lot of weed was actually at Jewish summer camp in Maine.
What?
Because my boy had come up from New York.
That kosher kush.
Yo, the kosher kush. Yo, my boy had come up from New York, and you know, this is in the era of like nickel and dime bags, but he had brought like $200 worth of like dime bags from New York City, and this is like the 90s. And he had smoked with some of the other kids that were there. I mean, we were kids. We were probably like 11 or something like that.
So pre-bar mitzvah.
PBM. Yes,
yeah,
PBM. Pre-bar mitzvah.
Okay.
So he had brought a bunch of weed up, and he had ended up getting busted. And
at summer camp?
At summer camp. And so they were, and he was part of like the first 3 weeks, and I was like, we weren't on the same, I wasn't there at the same time. But he got busted, and they were kicking him out of summer camp, and he's like, yo, I'm gonna bury my weed in the forest, and you can dig it up, and then you'll have the weed. So he legit made a map, like a treasure map, like in like 11-year-old treasure map, where he's like, okay, you go to this tree and you take 8 steps this way, and then you take 6 steps that way, and then there's a rock, and you move the rock and you dig down 6 inches, and that's where the weed will be. So I legit fucking took this.
Just
like
you by yourself?
Me solo. This is solo.
Like solo mission.
Because it was like criminal at this point. Like my boy just had gotten booted out of fucking
summer camp. Did anything happen to him, or was he just?
Well, he was just booted out for the rest. They didn't like snitch on him to the police or something. They were just like to call his parents and told them they had to come pick him up. So he got booted out of summer camp. Yeah, he was doing drugs at summer camp at that moment in time was definitely, you know, in Maine was not like super. We were not where we are.
So
today.
you were already smoking at this time?
Yeah. I was, you know, here and there. I was, 11 years old. I wasn't like a hard smoker, but like I was already like, my dad was a weed head, so like.
So you were like growing up. It was kind of around.
It was around. I mean, like he never really smoked in front of us. There was a moment later on, which I can talk to you about too, where like I finally got to smoke weed with my dad for the first time, which was incredible because again, also pointing back to my book, it's like these old kind of like hippie habits that he had where it's like he would always like hold the joint under his nose and like do a nose inhale, and I was like, yo, Dad, like what the fuck is that? That's just like some old ass hippie shit. Like they're like taking nose hits, like that's your like warm up. Like I don't even know what that is, but you know, like
you don't smell no seeds.
totally. This Acapulco Gold's hitting right.
So your parents were cool with cannabis. They weren't like anti-cannabis, and I'm guessing you were a good student.
Yeah, no, I was never. We had like a mutual understanding. Like I always pushed myself to do whatever I wanted to do, and they were like, as long as like you're not getting in trouble, and like you keep us posted, and you're not in danger. Like, you know, my parents let me go to New York City alone as a young teenager. Like, you know, they were
summer camp. Yeah. Oh, to your girlfriend.
Oh, to my girlfriend from summer camp.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, stuff like that. Like, not every parent like sends put their kids on a bus to New York City when they're 14. You know, so my parents were very just chill, and again, like they didn't smoke weed around the house, but like the worst they ever said, they were like, my dad smelled weed one time and he walked into my room and he goes, "Don't smoke weed in the house." Like, he's like, just go on the porch, dude.
Take it outside, G.
But again, it was hard because it was first. All I heard was, "Don't smoke weed," and then it was like, "In the house." I was like, okay, that was the line that was drawn. No, don't smoke. Your mother's gonna be mad if the house stinks like weed. So that feels fairly chill for like a kid growing up.
Yeah, that's cool. So it was around, because I guess now that I know what weed smells like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I realized that my dad would smoke.
Yeah.
But I didn't know back then what weed smell was. I just thought like my dad was taking a shit and his shit smelled like a unique I was like, damn, my dad's shit smells like skunks, dude. What the hell is this? But now that I'm older, I realize it was. So like, just I get what you're saying about being around.
Feel familiar with it.
Yeah.
So when someone sent me on a mission to go dig up a couple, 10 dime bags of weed in the forest, I'm with that, dude. I'm in.
How was the weed?
I mean, for 1990, I know this is the mid 90s. I don't know, not to like, it's not like I look like I'm 20, but yeah, in the mid 90s.
We like to say the late 1900s.
Yeah, the late 1900s. I mean, for me, like, first of all, I was a Boston kid, so like my New York homie dropped his bags. Like, that's like definitely the best weed I've ever been near.
Let me get that haze.
Yo, bro, I mean, New York City street weed from 95 was definitely better than like suburban Boston street weed from 95. So I was more than excited to have that, in my mind, the most vast quantity imaginable.
So what'd you do with all this weed?
I stashed it in the basement, and I fucking figured out how to smoke it, and like acted really stupid in front of my parents. And my brother was like, "Noah, you're clearly stoned." And I'm like, "Dude, shut up."
Is this older brother?
I have a younger brother named Ezra.
And he knew.
He knew because he was always cool. He was always cool. We were always. He's only 3 years younger than me, so we were always basically around each other. And he always knew what was going on. So
you brought it home with you?
Yeah, I brought it home with me from summer camp. I stashed it. This is for real. In my I played baritone saxophone in the concert band at school.
Okay.
Like the big saxophone. Yeah. And I legit like stashed it in like the case, like in the saxophone. It was a saxophone stash of weed, for sure.
And you would just keep it in the closet?
Keep it stashed with the sax. No one's opening up my sax case like.
And you would just take that with you everywhere. Go.
Dude, I had my stash.
That's my weed bag, dude. We didn't have cool little fancy bags that we wear today, and everyone's all.
But it probably was pretty like not vacuum type, but like the hard case for a saxophone is pretty tight. So
is that where like because I realize there's like everything you do always involves cannabis. Like you were in music, you were for production companies, you work for media companies, and I feel like cannabis.
Yeah, weed has always been there, right? Like, so it's like, I would say like, I had my sort of educational experience, if you will, and then I tried to get into the professional world, like being a music journalist, running magazines, writing about music producers, writing about musicians, writing about technology, all these things.
And this was for Mass
Appeal was the first magazine that I was an editor of.
Okay. And is that the one with Nas?
So there's two editions of it, because there was an OG Mass Appeal, and then it went dormant for a little while, and then the company I was working for bought the rights to it and made it a thing again, and Nas came in. So Mass Appeal as it is 100% descended from that early Mass Appeal. But the weird thing is that I was in my early 20s working at Mass Appeal magazine when it was very early days.
Startup.
And then later, fast forward 10 years of my career, then I worked for Mass Appeal again as this thing that the company I was working for had bought and relaunched.
How was that? Was that like what the this is?
It was. I mean, it was a little crazy, but it also made sense because my very good friend and collaborator on occasion, Sasha Jenkins, who directs amazing films, he's a longtime magazine graffiti guy as one of his deep passions, and he was involved at the original Mass Appeal, and then he was who plugged me at this other company where I was running the label and stuff before they reacquired Mass Appeal. So Sasha is always the guy behind the scenes who has made these things happen. So, you know, that he messed with a new organization who then went back and tried to relaunch this thing he had also been very closely associated with. Did make sense ultimately.
Is it when you do your music journal? Is it mostly hip hop? Because I see you worked with a lot of hip hop artists.
Yeah, I would say mostly hip hop, but I think a lot of people. If I'm in a hip hop room, I'm seen as like the rock and roll guy, and if I'm in a rock and roll room, I'm seen as the hip hop guy. That's kind of like
you're like a hybrid.
I'm sort of and I don't know what that is, but it's like, you know, if you look at a lot of the stuff I've done in music or in magazines and stuff like that, like when I was doing Mass Appeal, I was always like, you know, there was all hip hop stuff and graffiti stuff, but I would be sometimes writing about some dope new rock band, you know what I mean? Like, so it you know, and then on the other coin, like sometimes when I'm collaborating with like an indie label, you know, they're like looking to me to bring in a hip hop artist to work with one of their like indie rock bands. So it's like that is a persistent theme, but it's like kind of just about crossing genres and bringing people together that people might perceive as exceptionally different, but actually have some commonality that's worth tuning into.
So I see music is a big part of your life, just like cannabis.
True.
What brought you to hip hop? Who did you discover? What was like the first sounds that you remember where you're like, oh, I love music, I'm gonna do something with this?
I mean,
because you were playing sax in high school, right?
Yeah, but also you may relate to this in your upbringing. But I was like a little Jewish kid in like suburban Boston, where it's like all Irish people. Like there was like 4 Jews in my whole class. It was like Wiseman, Cooperstein, and Rubin, and like we were like the 3 Jews in the corner. You know what I mean? So being Jewish felt in some ways. I had a sense of feeling different than people around me in some fundamental way. Again, because in Boston, like it was not like that.
It wasn't a community.
It wasn't very large at all.
Right.
And you know, so like even I mean, I just really got into rap music at a very early age, like 10 years old, suburban Boston, late 80s, and then somehow I actually, you know what it was? I went with my cousins in Ohio, and we went to a cassette store, and my cousins were from the Seattle area, and in the early mid-90s that's like the coolest music area, so they knew more about music than we did. And we went to this cassette store, and we bought on the same day Sonic Youth Goo and Ice Cube America's Most Wanted, and like bumped those for a week straight, back to back to back to back. And then that was like, I was just like, okay, this hip hop is the music that I'm into. And I would like literally I'm like, again, 10 years old, like reading the Source magazine in 89, like picking up on what was a cool release, and then buying albums and seeing other artists that they thanked, and then looking those artists up and finding it. So hip hop was really the first music I super related to. Like obviously the Beastie Boys I was into when I was like a child, and that made sense, and it was rap, but it was more like because it was a mainstream thing. But then being really into the genre of hip hop was like a late 80s, early 90s thing for me. And again, I felt connected to it, and cannabis was a huge part of it. So I always felt, I never thought twice about that part of it. And then as I grew up a little bit, I got more into like hardcore punk and, you know, shit like that, and then just blending those things together, you know,
and just turning a passion into a lifestyle. And
trying to live it.
Who was like, because I see you worked with a lot of artists, you've mixed a lot of music, you've produced tracks. Where's like your first experience? Who was like the first hip hop artist that you were working with, and you're like, oh my god, is this really happening right now?
Well, a lot of that happened because I was doing more hip hop or just journalism in general in sort of the first stage of my career, and then I was a little more focused on producing records and running labels and stuff like that. And this is all before I was working for Snoop. But the first time, I guess I was like in my first journalistic assignments, I was like a hip hop producer nerd, so I knew everything about drum machines and samplers and vintage keyboards. Like I kind of had like a weird, like very detailed knowledge of this in like the early 2000s.
You still into that?
100%.
Do you make beats? Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I do more like kind of guidance, like creative direction type stuff, as opposed to just like literally programming a beat. But you know, sometimes I just try to close the door and write a song sometimes, and that feels good, you know.
What? I didn't notice about you. Look at
No, there's some secret stash, bro.
do you have all these gadgets at the crib and you'll just sit there?
Totally, yeah. I feel very comfortable being surrounded by like large amounts of like weird vintage instruments. Like,
so what else do you play? Because I know you played sax in high school.
I mean, starting off with me as a saxophone player is a big overstatement of my musical skill on that instrument. But like, I appreciate it. No, but again, I play everything well enough to know that I don't play it that well. If you know what I mean, like you
got the rhythm.
No. I'm good. I probably studied the bass the most, but I play a little guitar. I play a little keyboards. I play a little drums. I do drum programming. I do some mixing. You know what I mean? Like I'm good at those things and can definitely make it happen if it needs to happen. But I wouldn't say that by default I'm gonna be the best guy in the room.
Right.
You know,
you got the skills to make it happen.
And I know the difference between it going well and it not going well.
I mean, working with like Wu-Tang, and I know Riz is like a crazy producer and sound, and being able to work with them and handle that must have been like, especially being from the East Coast.
It was cool. It was like it was like something, you know, it was like one of those you know, setting an intention or just like imagining something to be real and then it becomes real kind of thing. Because I had just at that moment stopped doing writing and magazine stuff, and I was like, I want to do music. I want to like not write about it. I don't want to write about music producers. I want to produce music. I want to be in the studio. I want to do the hard work and see what that really is about. And so at that time I was kind of like, I just was like, I'm gonna work at any studio I could find, and this studio that a friend of a friend connected me to was associated with Koch Records, E1 Music. You know, they were putting out a lot of big hip hop stuff like Diplomats in that moment, and I just kept a good relationship with them and got in the studio and started working with their production crew because clearing samples was a real bitch, and being able to record live instruments with a vibe, you don't have to pay the sample clearance. Yes, so it's like, and I was like the white boy who like kind of like played guitar and like knew how to record bands. So like they're like, why don't we make some beats where we're just like using live instruments but chopping it and mixing it so it sounded like it had a vibe.
Yes.
You know? And so that was where that came from.
Look at you. That's why we got Ken Trust here too, so we don't have to deal with copyright issues on music. Just all live.
Dude, from the
setting
heart.
the vibe.
From the heart.
He's just chilling.
Dude, the chillest. Thank you. I want to just take a moment to say thank you, bro. That's a fucking great vibe.
For sure, no doubt.
Yeah,
I'm just riding the waves.
Okay.
For sure, man. Just keeping the vibes going.
Mission accomplished, my
yeah,
friend. Mission accomplished.
Kentron.
Very much liking it.
What?
Very much liking it.
So you've been in the studio working. You made a lot of music. You put out a book.
My book is about to come out. Really, that's the thing that right now is my biggest focus. I've been doing a little work with a label called Royal Mountain. They just put out a song with an artist named Ev Bird. I put him on a track with this Detroit rapper named Boldy James, who I had worked with when I was doing Decom Mass Appeal Records. And I think the track came out really nice. It got picked up by a few, good music outlets, and it kind of shows some promise with this, young artist and collaborating with some cool people. So things like that make me excited.
Let me find out you're still out here producing and scouting and helping artists out and putting people on.
Hey, like,
what?
If you feel something and it feels right, you just do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's like...
I feel like an idiot because we were watching the episode we did. It was like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I forgot. And I was talking about a moment where Ray Shremmerd came on stage, and I would talk to you. I was like, I don't know if you know them, but they're like these rapper brothers. And you're looking at me. I'm like, bro, this fool like comes from music. He like produces shit. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm sure, of course, he knows who the fuck Ray Shremmerd is.
Not only that, because I was probably like, dude, will you please come on my show? Like, seriously, like, if Ray Shremmerd were on my show, it'd be really cool. And everyone's like,
No.
But Adam Hill came on my show.
No, please, chill, dude, chill. So what are you listening to right now? Are you still listening to? If I get into your car right now and we were to go, so what's on?
Well, I still obsessively follow new releases. So like my MO is like every Friday I go to every outlet that I like to read, and I go to every music streaming platform that I'm into, and I spend like 30 minutes to an hour being like, is this interesting? Should I listen to it? And then I make playlists off of that all the time, and then I'm constantly listening to new releases that I've read about or discovered. and then just kind of finding things from there that open my mind to new things.
And are these just all genres, or are you?
Yeah, it's kind of all genres. I mean, it's like I'm reading rap stuff, I'm reading indie rock stuff, I'm reading electronic stuff. Like I've worked with a lot of different folks in all those lanes, so I wouldn't say any of it feels like I know all of it, but there's none of it that I don't feel like I know a good amount about it, and I like to mix all those things together. So like I just make these crazy, every month I'm putting in like 600 tracks in a playlist from the month, and then just like vibing on, like shuffling through it and finding shit that's dope.
Do you have these playlists available for people that link? Like if you could,
stash right
if you could
now.
like put them on, be like Rubin's, Noah Rubin's, fucking
Rubies.
future artist alert.
Totally, could be.
Pay a monthly fee and see where it's at.
Become a VIP.
Yeah,
dude. Limited edition NFT.
What? You ready? We can we can make it happen. So what's like a typical day for Noah Rubin? What are we doing?
Well, I'll tell you right now. I mean, mostly the book has been consuming my life. Like I've been trying to stay on top of marketing it, stay on top of the PR with it, just make sure that it's in places that I think it wants to be. Like a couple weeks ago, I went to Champs because I think that my publisher is so good at putting out a quality product like this, but there's so many smoke shops that have a book,
right?
And I think this might be a book that someone in a smoke shop would say, hey, that's a dope thing, I want that for $16.95, just add it to my cart, so things like that, connecting with people in the industry to just expand the reach.
I think it'd be cool to have them in, like, because now we're gonna talk about this too, because I'm sure you've seen that evolution of cannabis and how it's been accepted. I put that in air quotes. In society, but like there's a lot of lounges opening up. There's a lot of like buildings, like networking, like cannabis buildings, and like having that book on those tables just while people are there and they can see it. Boom.
I like it. I gotta get the Adam Hill endorsement.
I got you. We can make it happen.
Do you own a cannabis lounge?
No, I know a couple places.
I know you do. I trust the places that you don't.
Yeah, there's a lot of work in owning. You know what I'm saying? A lot of responsibilities. And insurance is crazy. There's a lot of things happening in the world right now. And
Preach.
Last time some lounge opened up and someone claimed they got some type of disease, they had to shut down and lose everything. So it's like,
totally,
having public pieces that you share is kind of scary, dude. I'm surprised people are just willing to keep putting their mouth on things that 50 other people put their mouth on.
Yeah, that could get dirty. I mean, we're living in the era of monkeypox too, so it's like, I think there, monkeypox PSA in the cannabis industry. Like, why is the government not funding that right now? Can someone get the CDC on the phone? Because I really want to make a cannabis industry monkeypox commercial. Can we pitch that out of them?
Yeah, we can make a commercial. We can make that happen.
Don't get monkeypox, folks. That's real. I mean, can you imagine?
That'd be crazy.
I went to Trans Bay and got monkeypox.
No,
that's
stop.
A terrible headline. No one wants that. No one wants to hear that.
Bunch of heady wooks over there.
I know.
I got monkeypox from a $20,000 rig. How has it been? Like, because I know you were talking about smoking in the late 1900s, digging out weed out of the forest in Maine, and now like we walk down the street with pounds in your hand. I see people just like it's regular. How has that been? Truthfully, I honestly feel like when I moved to LA like 2015, 2016, I was like, we're ahead of the curve. But now I look at what's going on in New York and how friggin' free everyone is with it. Like, you're open air smoking and selling like literally all over the place. It was like here 5 years ago.
Yeah,
with the 215 days.
Yeah, 215 days.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it actually feels freer and newer and fresher and more alive, I think, sometimes. East Coast nowadays, like it feels like we felt in Cali what we thought we were going to feel, maybe, you know what I mean? And now we kind of realize like back then was actually kind of more.
Yeah, I missed the 215 days, dude.
215, like it was just enough. It was just the right amount of like involvement, maybe too much, obviously, but compared to what it is now, probably feels
I just feel bad for the end consumer, because now with like legal cannabis, you're not getting that fresh, direct from the farmer product. Because back in the 215 days, the farmer used to come directly to the shop straight and bring it. I mean, one positive that we have is like everything gets tested and we know that the thing is dirty. But the fact that now when growers have it, and then by the time they send it to a testing to get it tested, and then it gets back, and then they have to package it, and then they send it to a distributor, and then the distributor has
I'm
to
already
put it
I'm already like, my brain is just like numb to this. It's because you can't have a conversation about this without that list. It's this list is like 30 things long. That's like all the things that just completely suck about trying to do it by the book.
Yeah, and like no one's storing it right, and by the time you get it, it's just like
You're
like,
getting shit on the every fucking.
and then it's
possible way.
40% tax, and then you're like, what?
Just the list, man.
Where is this traditional spot at? Where can I get? Where's the farmers market, please?
Yo, I mean, again, you know, like you go to an event where you see like people and like it's a community oriented thing, and like you're able to sample a product potentially, like. That's a vibe that people should consider because it feels a lot like more like an authentic experience than what you deal with at like a retail shop. Like maybe the Apple Store isn't where I want to buy weed.
Right.
You know?
I remember, like I used to be a bud tender, and we would be able to like give samples to the patients coming, and they could smoke it right there. They're like, "How is it? Oh yeah, try it. Boom, boom, boom."
I mean, at least smell a jar of it, right? Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's
Touch
gone.
it, finger fuck it.
That's gone.
Do what you need to do to it. Yeah.
Can't do that.
Can't even. Oh man, it's so crazy.
You can't even see like a picture. There's like you can't even have an image of it. You know what I mean? Like it's prohibited of having the image of cannabis on the cannabis. That's like literally that's illegal.
It's out of control right now, dude. How we sell. How.
Yeah, we try it. Desperately try one way or the other.
What?
No matter what. Here, let's do another page from the book.
Alright,
Do another page.
Are
from
we
the book.
are we still doing media, Noah?
I'm down with it. I'm open to it. I have, you know, with the book coming out, I feel like I'm exploring how I want to think about the next phase of that.
Why don't you do a page a day on social media, and you should just like randomly open it up, and be like a page from how we roll, and then bam, Don Richard. And then you just talk about John Richard and do like a little 30-second thing,
Yeah.
and boom, how we roll available right now.
Totally. Adam Hill is writing my TV commercials right now. I'm glad this is getting on video because actually that might be it right there. That actually you might have even just done it. Just
From
like,
NOLA to New York on a cloud of cannabis. Well, she came from a southern district home. Look, dude, you can find out more. I'm not gonna give away the
Yeah,
whole
no,
book.
you know, those are the harder segments to like fully.
Yeah.
Those
That's
that's more of
you
an
might,
essay.
you might like it though, because you don't know who your profile. You might learn about
That's
somebody
true.
and then be like, oh look, I like this person. Let me. Unfortunately, everyone uses the necessary evil Instagram. Let me search them up, and they find them, and they're like, "Oh, I like this person's style." Boom, follow, go on their website, see what they are, and then they support them. Boom, you just introduced a bunch of people to Don Richard. The inside out, backward.
Totally.
Do you roll all these? Have you tried to?
I am absolutely, dude. I literally spent so much time rolling every joint in that book. Just because I didn't want to be a poser. Like I was like, I need to be able to roll each of these joints basically well with if I'm gonna write about it. Period. So it's like I sat there and I rolled every joint 50 to 100 times probably because each day I would like write for 4 hours and then I would come home and I would like roll joints for hours on end until I got it how I wanted it to be.
Should I smoke another joint?
Oh, this is a good one.
What? It's a questionnaire.
It's a quiz.
On if you should smoke another joint,
If you should smoke
or
another-
blunt, or hit, or
whatever works for you.
whatever
it's
you're-
about unity, guys.
whatever you
Unity.
consume, dude.
Unity.
Do you have to drive tonight? Ooh.
It's an important question. What are our
Ooh.
options there?
The options are nah, I'm chilling. So that probably means you should. Yes, but I swear I got this.
Shady. We all know someone like that. We all know someone like that.
Dude, where's my car? Oh. Well, I mean, if you Ubered, then of course. Or whatever. Lyft or taxi, whatever.
That's true. I didn't consider Uber.
What? Look at all these questions.
Okay,
dude.
then you got the answer. You should see the conclusion on the next page. You get the answer.
So every answer.
If you answered mostly A's, if you answered mostly B's, if you answered
right.
mostly C's. But look at the conclusion of all three.
If you answered A to all of them, you are motivated, enlightened individual with a clear perspective on the world around you. You have infinite potential, and you should definitely smoke another joint.
Okay, what's number B?
You have some growing up to do, but that's okay. We all start somewhere. You should definitely smoke another joint.
And what about number C? Or letter C?
The number C. You have trouble discerning between online horoscopes and real interpersonal advice. This may come back to haunt you later in life. You should definitely smoke another joint.
As you can see, no matter where you are, who you are, how you living, the answer is always you should smoke another joint.
You got a pros and cons list on Spliffs. You got It was a whole bunch of
Everything,
fun
my
info.
friend. Yeah.
How we roll, chilling out right here. Noah Rubin, dude. Did you ever think, like, growing up, that you were gonna be like an author of a weed book, working with so many hip hop musicians, and of course, we haven't even touched about it, like working with everyone. I think he's top 3 of everyone's smoking list. Snoop Dogg.
Smoking with Snoop Dogg, yeah, that's a thing. Major.
I mean, every time you ask someone, oh, who do you want to smoke with? You're like, oh, Snoop Dogg. It's like, well, you know, we've done it. No, I'm just playing. How did you ever, like, was this ever conceptualized where you're like, yo,
I think that's a great question.
or
And
you're like, I'm gonna be an author, I'm gonna be a fucking fireman.
I will say, I always felt interested in, and I was doing these things. Like, someone was asking me earlier today, actually, about, you know, just like, how did I get into writing and that kind of stuff. And it was like, you know, I actually, like, when I would go to live music shows, and I would like submit my reviews of live music shows to like underground music zines.
What?
So I was just like into that stuff from a pretty early age.
You always liked writing.
Yeah, it was just like a way I felt I could share some ideas about experiences I was having.
When you had essays in school, were you like, hell yeah?
Fuck no, not like that ever, dude. Like, essays, never, dude. I was good enough to fake it and be good at school. You know what I mean? Like,
is it because essays are basically you have to write about something you don't give a fuck about? And you're
I
like,
do think that. I think you could teach kids how to write an essay way better if you didn't structure it with topics that had no relevance.
where they
to
don't
them.
give a fuck about, like, yeah.
Not to shit on teachers, because I respect teachers, but
No.
in 7th grade, I had a teacher that assigned every student to write a 7-page paper about the gray squirrel. Like, there's 22 different kinds of kids in a room, and everyone's writing about the gray squirrel. Like, it's a squirrel. Like, let someone choose something else besides a squirrel. We all had to write the same essay, basically. All 20-something of us.
Damn.
No, I don't need that. You gotta let kids explore things they're interested in and express themselves accordingly, because it's just gonna be much better as a result.
Yeah.
You gotta be pertinent to something you're interested in.
Can't keep them
so
boring.
again, I was excited to write my own music reviews and send them to like little music scenes. But school, I was smart enough to figure out how to do as little as possible and get through it. I never was a straight A student, but I did my homework, but like just barely.
Were you like, the teachers know you? Were you like talking a lot and
Yes,
disruptive?
that definitely.
Were you like one of those? Yeah.
Definitely. I was just I had an answer for fucking everything.
Yeah.
Even more than I do now. Like, now I'm like, wow, I'm so quiet nowadays. Like, compared to like literally before, I was just like, I fucking never keep my goddamn mouth shut about any. I'm like, dude, that's like a complete, like, you're like an off the wall joke that no one is gonna understand. And you're just like yelling it out in the middle of a conversation. But you know.
We entertain ourselves when we're bored in school.
True.
Yeah.
You got no choice. I mean, I had friends who their way was they just couldn't be part of school. Like, education, that structure there was nothing that they just had to skip out on it. I've always just felt like I can kind of like hack this system and make it so it's not such a buzzkill.
Yeah.
But like, never really.
I mean, it was really easy. They just tell you what to do, and you just gotta do it.
Yeah,
it's just kind of boring and just monotonous sometimes, because you're like, I don't give a fuck about this. Why do I gotta write it? Why I gotta learn about this? I'm never gonna use it. I got calculators now. We got fucking Google. Like,
Totally. I mean, again, the things we do need to know are different than they were even just 10 years ago. You know, so you know, keeping up to date with that is a big challenge. I think for like
they should teach you like how to do taxes. They should teach you like how to. Like...
I mean, the idea that like we call the system an education system, and people don't walk out of there with like a very clear understanding.
They
of,
know
like,
about the War of 1812.
Yeah, they know the War of 1812, but not about like, yo, someone's gonna evict you and you're gonna get a credit score that's gonna dictate like everything that you can do and not do in your entire life. Like, that's oppressive, man. Like, that's like really important.
Yeah,
thing
teach you how to open a business, how to do the right paperwork, how to file for things. They don't tell you any of that shit.
Yes, I think the education system could be improved.
What?
Whoa! I'm not running for office. I'm just promoting my book, just plugging my book shamelessly. We're
gonna check the grammar on that book now. No.
Totally.
He's like, I'm ready.
People will dig through it and see what's what.
What?
It's a good time thing.
So how was it chilling with big Uncle Snoop-a-Loop?
I would say that I had an extremely chill and like perfect kind of partnership there, because I was involved, but his management team was so aware of like moments that he was into doing a brainstorm session and moments where he just didn't want to think about that stuff. So I got put in the room when like everyone on the team was like, okay, Snoop's ready to like get creative and do some brainstorming and get something done, like go. You know what I mean? So I didn't have to deal with, you know, because there's just so many requests and it's such a challenging thing to be in demand by that many people.
Yeah,
like, you know,
100%.
there's just so much infrastructure you need to like make any sense at all.
Yeah.
So again, I got put in the room in really opportune moments. Snoop and I collaborated on a cookbook. The book before this that I did was from Crook To Cook. I was sort of like the editor of the project. I had the relationship with the publisher. We found the right writing team. We put together the photographer. We helped Snoop like kind of ideate into something that was like a full cookbook.
Right. Put the ideas on paper.
Yeah, just flesh it out. So it's like a beautiful, amazing book. If you haven't checked it out, from Crook To Cook, it's a really fun, interesting book that's unlike anything else, and it's turned into one of the biggest selling cookbooks of the last decade.
What?
Snoop Dogg's cookbook is one of like the top 10 cookbooks of the last decade.
That's fucking amazing, dude. That's great.
And
dude,
you know, people want to cook with Snoop. So, and again, it was just such a positive vibe.
That's great. And I mean, I'm sure working in music with all these artists and always smoking weed, your network is probably like legit as fuck. And I can't wait to see the success of your book when it releases in October. Where can people find it? Where can people get it? Where can you purchase?
So the book is called How We Roll.
This is How We Roll.
Yes. This How We Roll, the art and culture of joints, blunts, and spliffs. It's coming out from Chronicle Books. It is available for pre-order right now. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Rizzoli Books. You can order it from many online shops at this point, and it will be in stores very soon. So right now, pre-ordering online is the best way to do it.
Is the way that is how we roll. What? You doing the social media? You doing the websites? What you got, Noah Rubin?
I don't know. Like I've been chill on social recently. I've gone through moments where I'm like feeling so inspired by it, and then I go through moments where I just like feel like being in another headspace. And lately I've been in another headspace, and I think a lot of it has to do with figuring this little guy out. But I do think that there'll be a moment where I figure out what exactly I want that to look like. How about yourself? Do you feel inspired by the social media?
I am over Instagram.
I feel
but
that.
it's like a necessary evil that you kind of need.
It's like a sickness. I think they call that a sickness, right?
I mean, I don't need it. I'm over it. I don't want it. But for what we do, we kind of need that platform to have it. So I have like amazing people that like, you know, help my presence be there and help me out, like Matt Universal Studios, who just do it. But I love Twitch. That's my platform that I'm on a lot. Unfortunately, you know, we usually live stream this, but there's an internet outage in the area. So, I'm all about, you know, chilling and hanging and connecting with people all around the world, and social media is a great platform for that.
Yeah.
But with what we do with cannabis, we get so many restrictions and obstacles, and getting deleted multiple times with accounts that are, you know, over 100,000 followers, you just get unmotivated and just, you know,
why bother?
Makes you over it, yeah. So I'm just over it. It's just upsetting that so many people rely on a platform that's only been around like less than like about a decade.
I think it's an unhealthy relationship. Like that's it. It's, you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I don't know what the nuances are, but like bottom line, like I think social media is just like an unhealthy relationship that we've all decided we need to be in. But we have way more control than we know we do, and we all by default are just getting sucked into it constantly.
Because we're getting forced to see things that we don't really care about, like.
And the algorithms are literally designed to like hack our psychology. Like it's literally designed,
suggested based on things you like, and I'm like, I want to see my friends. I don't want to see what you think I want to see. I want to see what my friends, the people I choose to follow, are doing. I don't give a fuck about who you think I should follow.
Yeah, I also think it's like, I think our interests should be catered to, but I don't think they should be used, like, weaponized against us. You know what I mean? It's like, that shit is like literally they're using our own interests and our passions against us to make us addicted to something that, like, isn't really healthy for us.
I miss MySpace.
MySpace was
Tom didn't really force political agendas on you.
No,
Tom
man.
didn't force suggested people on you. Tom let you build. He taught you how to write, how to code.
Yeah, CSS, bro.
He taught you.
Gotta get your CSS up.
Tom was like, look, just create a free space for you, and you know what? We'll add music with it. We'll fucking let you express yourself and do what you want. And then you know what? Tom saw what was happening. He sold that shit for $500 million and said, peace out.
Yeah,
I miss MySpace.
I'm not gonna disagree with you on that. I think there was something kind of nice about that moment. I guess we just didn't know where we were headed. We were like, oh, this is cool, but then it just got like bigger and grosser and like.
I mean, I think that's. I feel like that brings us back to the whole cannabis, because we all fought for legalization and we thought it was cool. And 215 was great, and I don't think we realized how good it was when the 215 days were here. And now that it's legal, I'm speaking for California, it's just like been a lot harder for brands to survive, for growers to survive, for regular smokers to afford good quality cannabis, because it's expensive, dog. It's crazy.
It's crazy expensive.
It's crazy, dude.
We're living in crazy times, but I think there's things that could be way better. But I think that there's still things that are good. So
there's pros and cons to everything, positive and negative. As long as you are using everything for the better and for good, then we ain't gonna be mad at you, dude. If you out here selling our souls to motherfuckers based on AI technology, you better check yourself, dog. It's just scary out here, dude. I don't even know who's real or who's fake.
I don't. How do you know?
Right. Cars driving themselves. I don't know if the people inside those cars are real. Are they clones? Are they AI robots? Are you guys testing some new shit? I don't know what's going on now.
I relate to these feelings, though.
Are you like conspiracies?
No.
Are you?
I'm boring. I'm like possible. You know what I mean? I'm like, but I'm not gonna spend every waking hour being like, but that one thing.
No, not like not like tinfoil.
There's a lot of ideas people present them. I'm like, okay, theoretically that could be possible. You know what I mean? But I don't go deep with it. I'm like, I feel like I have friends who are very consumed by that. And
octopus. What's plural? Octopuses? Octopus? They're aliens, dude.
Again, if you said that, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
I can break it down for you. Like, there's so many ways, but dude, they're not from this planet. They're from a different part of whatever's out there. But that's a whole other show.
I mean, should I eat them or not eat them?
I mean, I don't eat. I mean, they're delicious, but I stopped eating them because I don't know what powers they possess. And when they come and start, because they can walk on land and they live in water, you know that, right? And they change colors and they can fit. And they have a good.
They're pretty advanced creatures.
They're smart creatures. Yes,
very advanced.
And you watch this? Are you familiar with The Simpsons?
I have heard of The Simpsons. Yeah.
And you know how they predict the future and they have all these
yes, I know
things where they're like, oh look, Simpsons did this 20 years ago.
Yeah,
who are the aliens in The Simpsons?
Oh, are there like octopus?
Octopus and little, dude. Matt Groening's on a whole little.
Yeah, he was just trying to share with us
things
we needed to be aware of.
Just be ready, because when they come out, that's a whole other show. Listen, we're getting to wrap it up. I think I got to wrap it up. Is that what that was? Was that the wrap it up, G? Listen, I feel like we could keep talking forever, Noah Rubin.
I agree with that statement, Adam Mill.
I appreciate you taking your time coming out here. How We Roll is gonna be available October 4th. I'm high. I'm sorry. I've been smoking this whole time. They say that memory. October. It's bullshit because I said it right. October 4th. How We Roll is gonna be available. Check him out. Does he do social media? Maybe. I don't know.
Ish. At Real Noah Rubin, sort of. Sometimes.
Check it out. I appreciate you coming by. You got a website?
Just holler at me on Instagram.
What?
Real Noah Rubin.
You should just, get that website. Boom. People can buy your books from the website.
Again, October 4th. All that stuff. The lights gets flipped on.
Let's go. He's out here making it happen, dude.
Yeah. We're lights on October 4th.
We're getting the exclusive
Buy it direct from the website. Adam Mill, you're forcing me to reveal my secret.
No, you're good. Keep it. I just like getting exclusives. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, this guy, the king of exclusives. Listen, Adam Ill.
The ill-exclusives,
oh, man.
The Adam Ill-exclusives.
He's got the catchphrases and everything.
Listen, what? It's regular. I appreciate you again coming by.
Thank you, Adam.
What? Check it out. How We Roll by Noah Rubin. Available. Kentron.
Yo.
You good, dude?
I'm chilling.
You haven't taken off your shades the whole time.
Yeah, my hands is busy out here.
Kentron, can you do a plug for my book, like just a vocal plug for my book?
What you want me to say?
Just like how we sing. Just How We Roll is dope. It's available October 4th. Pre-order now at a store.
4th?
Yeah.
Okay, October 4th. Let me see the title of the book. I gotta read it.
Here, yeah. You just freestyle a little. I mean, come on, you got to flow, bro. I want to just if you're cool with it.
You mean like play the keyboard and then talk?
If that's not your vibe, then we'll let Adam do it. Adam do a freestyle.
How about
over the Kentron?
My style's not
I can
free.
do it.
Yeah. Let's hear some
All right,
music. Let's hear the musical abilities of Noah Rubin.
Need a faster beat.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit. Maybe Ken will do backup vocals. Hey. Yeah.
How We Roll. The art and culture of joints, blunts, and spliffs. Coming soon to a bookstore near you. Pre-order it now on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, Rizzoli Books, or another fine bookseller near you. How We Roll is being published by Chronicle Books. From author Noah Rubin and illustrator Tasia Prince, the fascinating exploration of joint rolling traditions from around the world with humorous takes on tropes from weed culture. Thank you so much for joining us today here on the Adam Ill Show. It's been magical connecting with all of you, and we look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Yeah. That was all freestyle too. Let's go. How we roll. No, I'm just playing. Listen, I appreciate all y'all hanging out with us right here. Hey, radio, appreciate you guys. Noah Rubin, again, How We Roll. You already heard the commercial. Kentron, thank you for tickling them ebonies and ivories. What? Universal Studios in the building. You can watch this whole thing on YouTube. If you're listening to the audio and you want to see the visuals, check it out on YouTube, baby. Getting High With on YouTube. Appreciate y'all. It's the highest host, Adam L. Let's go, baby. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, real quick, shout out to all the growers. You already know, baby. Appreciate y'all. Without you guys, none of us would be here. Getting high, living this life, writing books, smoking weed, having a whole fucking life of cannabis. I learned a lot, Noah Rubin. I learned a lot about you.
I enjoyed myself once again, my friend.
Hell
We
yeah.
always have a good time.
I'll see you guys next time. Bye.